Welcome to BIMETI. In this tutorial I will walk you through how I install Autodesk Revit 2026 using custom installation workflow. I will also show you how to access the free education version and clarify what Revit runs only on Windows. Let's get started. First you need to find Autodesk education page. Select your favorite search engine. In this example I will use Google search engine. In the search bar type Autodesk Education and your link should look like this, autodesk.com/education. So if you see different links, you should skip them and look for a link like this one. Click the link. After you click the link, you will jump to this page, and in this page you can choose you want information about student license, educator license, or IT administrator licenses. So you will get all the tips and needed information based on your profile. I will introduce student's profile. So if you are a student, you can scroll down, read basic recommendations, check out additional links. And for me, it's interested this part: sign up, verify, and allow. So I will need to create my account, sign up for it. I will need to verify what I am a student of school or college or university. And after that, I will be able to download needed applications. So I can click select product. After I click select products, I will be guided to this page, and in this page I can select needed products. Before I do this, I need to sign in or create my student account. So before creating my student account, I can find my program which I'm looking for. So I select Architecture, Engineering and Construction portfolio, and here I see Revit application, so I will install this application. And near the Revit application I see supported operating system. So in this case only Windows is supported for Revit application. AutoCAD has both Windows and Mac OS, and AutoCAD Web has Android, Cloud, Mac and Windows OS supported versions. Let's select Revit, click select. This will open window looking like this one. And for students, you should select access the product, and for educators also you should select access the product. So student will get one seat and will be able to use subscription for 1 year. Later you need to update your subscription, and the educator also has subscription for 1 year. Later he needs to update his profile, and educators can manage 250 seats at the same time, and they can see how students use the program. So educators should choose this option. Also, depending on the page, you can get also school IT administrator. So for school deployment, you should select this option, and IT administrators can manage 3,000 seats, and you get 3 years subscription, and also you will get additional functions and features which are dedicated for deployment in the school environment. So now I select student, and here I get information what I need to verify my student and qualify for education license. I click continue. So in here I will see selected product. I want it for 1 year term, and I need to enter account information for my. So let's type email address student@universitydomain.com. And I copy paste doesn't work, so I need to retype same email address here. My email is matching. Now I can continue, agree to the Autodesk privacy terms. You should read instructions here, and I click continue. I type here my name and surname and select my role. I will be student. Also, I need to provide date of birth. So for this example, I will choose 2000 April 1. So let's say I am 25 years old, like Revit. Revit is also celebrating its anniversary of 25 years. So let's say the age of the student is 25 years. Let's click continue. Next, I need to add information about school. So I need to enter all the data about my school. So let's choose country. For example, I will choose United Kingdom. I need to enter address. I put the street, I put city name, and I also put postal code. I select institution type. It's high school, secondary school, university, or post-secondary. So let's choose university, name of university, and also I should put email address. So you should provide your real institution information, and also you should provide your enrollment information. I need to provide when I will finish my studies. So let's say I will finish next year, and the month will be June 26. This information is accurate and matches identification provided by my school. So for now I will click continue, but I need select real institution and provide proof what this institution is real. I cannot do it with fake data, so as example, I think you understand what kind of information should be provided here. And the next one is education verification, so you will need to provide student ID card or other legal document which verifies that you are a student of the school, so you can get needed license. And also you should read all the legal terms and conditions. So the software is just for education purpose, no commercial use. So please follow all the legal information about software use for your projects. So to show next steps, I connected to my teacher's account, and I will show next steps after you finish your verification and you log in to Autodesk platform. And after you click access products, you will see information looking like this one. In this page you can download needed application. So I'm looking for Revit. In here I select needed version, so I am interested in 2026, Windows 64, and my language will be English for this example. Now I can directly click install, and installation process will download small file, and if you activate this file, installation will start and basic Revit functions will be installed. Another option is to download a full package, and you can install on your machine or on your other device, and also you have full package on your machine, so you don't need internet connection. In this tutorial I will show how to use custom installation. I think it's a useful function because you can create the installation package with all the settings which is needed for you, and it will install just the needed data which you need for your Revit version. Additional option, you can click View Details and you can download and select other Revit add-ins. So in here you can see all updates related to this Revit version, so you can download and install them. You can see all the extensions. Also, you can select one by one and install it. And also you get access to all the libraries. So if during your installation you missed some library components and you want to get and install them for your computer, you can go here and select missing libraries and download them and extract, and these libraries will be available for you. So now I go back and I will choose option Custom Installation. After I click Custom Installation, this page will open, and on this page I can manage all the basic functions which I would like to install for my application. Also, I can create several application package which will automatically install a couple of products. Now I will just show how to configure a Revit application, and in other videos you can see how I will install other applications. So follow my channel, you will get all needed instructions in other videos. So I select Revit application here. From the list I can select which version I would like to install. So here I see latest version. If I want, I can specify specific version. So here I can select Revit 2025, 24, 23. So I will choose the latest version, Revit 2026. On the top also I can manage and change my language. So I will stay with English. Next, customization. So in this location you can customize content path of your program. Typically Autodesk Revit installs all the content in program data, Autodesk RVT 2026, libraries, templates, color books, family templates, lookup tables. Everything is installed in this location. For some students, it can be complicated to find all of this data, and sometimes needs additional clicking to reach out all these content on your. So my recommendation, install all these content libraries to separate drive, because it will take quite a lot of space, or you can install it in on your C drive, but maybe in different location which is suitable for your needs. So in this example I will show different installation location for all these libraries, so I can easily access and manage all these files. So in here I replace this part with C drive and 0-Revit Content. So I choose this name. 0 will sort my files, and Revit Content will be on the top if I sort alphabetically. Dash separates numbers from the text. Text identifies what content is in this folder. So in this case, I will have Revit Content. I will leave other structure as Autodesk provides. So Autodesk shortens Revit name to RVT, puts space, and it's the version code. So this folder will be dedicated for Revit 2026 content. In this folder you will find folders EEC, libraries, templates, color books, family templates, and lookup tables. So my recommendation, use the same structure as Autodesk provides, and this part you can change based on your specific needs. Next, optional components. So in here I will choose batch printing utility. Okay, e-transmit is needed. Worksharing monitor also is needed. Format converter for Revit, okay. Product feedback for Revit, let's leave it here. Personal accelerator for Revit, okay, let's leave it. USA English essential content and UK English essential content. I am from Europe, so I prefer metric system, so I will choose just UK English content, and I will not need other countries' essential content, so I can deactivate these languages. Next one, Revit Server. If you need Revit Server and you collaborate on your server with your team on the same projects, so you can create Revit Server and use Worksharing and create common projects. You can set up Revit Server functions. From this year, Autodesk provides possibility to use Revit collaboration tools and Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. So in this case, Revit Server is not so actual and not needed because you can use Construction Cloud. But for this purpose, you need to install additional software like Desktop Connector, which connects to your Construction Cloud. So if you are managing your personal computer, so you can install all needed packages. But if you are working in your university class, so university IT administrators should decide which workflow students will use for collaboration on the projects. So they can decide to implement Revit Server or Autodesk Construction Cloud solutions to collaborate on the projects. So in this example, I will leave empty all these parameters. Next, custom application settings. After you work with Revit for a couple years in a row, you will know what kind of settings you want for your program. So you can create your Revit.ini file. Also, you can create custom admin settings file. And also you can create custom Dynamo settings XML file. And by providing all these files from your earlier versions of Revit, you can set all the settings for your new version of Revit. And after installation, everything should work nicely based on your experience and needs. So for beginners, I will leave all these files empty. Because we don't know which parameters and settings are most useful for us. And I recommend to check all these specific files later in your Revit career. And if you are company IT manager or school IT manager and you want to make configuration and setup for your university, so you need to follow all these files and put them in deployment package, so your students gets latest standards related to your university, your company, and gets all the needed links to correct server locations, because when you install Revit on class computers, all the students need to access the same libraries, and the library content should be designed for specific needs, specific university standards, and so on. So all these files should be managed and organized for this purpose. Let's continue. Extensions. This part is not so user-friendly to select needed extensions. In earlier versions, you were able to just click all the needed extensions and scroll through the list. Now you can click here and you can select one by one each extension. So in this case, you need to do double click, one click, second click. You cannot click needed extensions. This part is not so user-friendly, but be patient and just select all needed parameters and extensions. I will select all extensions because in my class I teach different things, and for beginner students I recommend to select only extensions which is related to your discipline and your course. So if you are structural engineer or architect, I think you don't need MEP parts, so you can disconnect this content type. Advanced Steel Extensions is dedicated for structural engineers if you are architect or MEP engineer, so you don't need this extension. Database link for Revit. So if you plan to export Revit data to databases and manage it on Access or Excel files, so you can also activate this link. But from my experience, beginner students, first class, second year students don't use such functions and options. I think it's related more for BIM coordinators and data managers. You can select this extension and try how it works. If later you will need these extensions, you can manually add these extensions as I showed in earlier. Next extension, integration extension for Revit and robot structure. So this extension is also for structural engineers who are working with robot structure analysis software. And if you want to have integration between Revit and this application, you need this extension. Interoperability tools, model checker, configurator. So these are also for BIM managers, coordinators who wants to coordinate and manage the project quality, check all the data. For the students, beginner students, I recommend to install this one because you can check your work. Also, you can run model checker with best practice tips from Revit application. And this can give you some ideas if your created models based on best practice. And also you can configure and set up specific rules. If teacher provides some instructions, you can set up it and you can easily check your model. Teachers also should use this tool and create model checkers so they can run model check on student works, and it will provide full detail if the student's model is correctly designed and so on. So this extension I recommend. Next one, interoperability tool for Revit 2026. What is the difference? Interoperability tool, model checker, configurator. Okay, so I think it's from the same package. Let's leave it. Next one, lighting analysis for Revit. So this tool is more for architect students. So if you're a structural engineer or MEP designer and you don't do any light related designs, so you can skip this extension. Next one, Revit Admin Add-in Manager. So it's for managing add-ins. Yeah, so this one first announced on 2025 version. So by using this application, you can manage which add-ins to activate on your Revit application, because during real project modeling, add-ins can give you some issues because you install a lot of add-ins, and some add-ins is needed for one project, another add-in is needed for another project. And also Revit has limitation of 20 ribbon positions, so this tool will help you to solve this issue. Next extension, Revit extension for MEP fabrication. If you are MEP student and you create MEP designs, so I recommend to install this one extension. For structural engineers and architects, this one is not needed. Next one, Revit to fabrication MEP extension add-on. So similar to this one, let's activate. Room book, area book, building book for Revit 2026. So this tool is dedicated more for architect students to calculate all the parameters of rooms, areas, and get some basic information about building. Also, some parts is useful for structural engineers to get information about some quantities of the building, and maybe some MEP engineers can grab some data from here. So I think it's usable for all the disciplines, but most of these extension tools are configured to American standards, and for Europe related standards or international standards, these tools are not configured. It can be not so useful on Europe market. To use them, you need to do additional modifications for this extension setups, so it can be useful for your projects. And the last one, Solar Analysis for Revit 2026. So this also is dedicated for architecture students. If you are a structural engineer, so I don't think you don't need it. And if you are MEP engineer, also you don't need this one. So as I mentioned, I will select all these extensions because I teach different disciplines and different options. So in my tutorials and training videos, I try to show all the functions. So I will keep all these extensions. Next one, content. So in here I can select all the content I need for my installation. Also, I can choose not to install any of content because I will have essential components to start my program. If you want to install program quicker, so you can skip this content part and it will install program faster because the size of installation package will be smaller. And later you can install needed libraries based on your project needs. In this example, I will choose specific libraries for my projects. So I will choose French content because sometimes I need some information from this language, and generic international French content. So this will be, I think, in English, and this one be in French. One of the best content in Autodesk Revit environment is made by Germans. So they created nice family libraries, and I think the same structure and idea should be duplicated by all the countries, and all the countries should have a similar content prepared like Germans. So I will also use this one. For English-speaking users, it's not so user-friendly because all the content is in German. Making some additional tweaking, you can adapt this content for your projects. Also, I will choose Europe content. So it's small content dedicated for Europe region. Also, I will choose MEP fabrication metric content because I am in Europe, I need metric. Here I have fabrication imperial content. So based on version, I think this one has more components and more objects, but Imperial is not so easy to adapt for metric systems, so I will stay only with metric. And the last one is English UK content. So in my class I use UK content, and sometimes I use metric content from United States. US content is with a lot of families, which you will not find in other content libraries. So I think largest content libraries are from US and from Germany, and all other country content is much smaller. Okay, so I chose all needed content for my installation package, and I can click next. So on step 2, I should set the package name, package description. So my package name will be Revit. Also, I have all extensions, libraries. Okay, let's call it content. And my version is in English, and it's dedicated to C drive. So in description, I will put more details. So I have Revit 2026, all extensions, French, German, UK, US content, English version, and content located in C drive. So package name should be short and simple, and description can have more details. Next, depending on my profile, if I am a student, I recommend simple installation. If I am IT administrator on company or in the school, I recommend to choose deployment, and it will create deployment package. So for students, I recommend to choose install. Next one, installation path. So installation path, I will not change. I will leave as it is. I think this can be changed by IT administrators if they have specific installation locations and maybe some specific restrictions. And regarding content location, so also in schools or company computers, all these program file and program data folders, most cases, are restricted for changing, and all library contents should be possible to change if these folders and locations are with some specific restrictions. So I recommend to choose different, more user-friendly locations so users can change libraries, templates, and other components. Here are additional options. So for image creation, you can save some space and it will try to create links between specific files, and it will not duplicate these files. I'm not sure. I will not use this one because I have some doubts. Maybe some linking will not work properly and so on. So for be sure, I will just use typical package creation without linking files. And I agree to the terms of use, and I can click save, or I can click download. So let's click download. So you can prepare custom installation files for each of your programs, for each of your versions, and later you can manage it, and you can duplicate, you can move it to different location, you can download it, edit it, and get additional information. You can read the description from this information part. And also, if you prepare good package, you can share it with your teammates so they can use it and install on their own machines. For IT departments, I recommend to create a team, and all the engineers should collaborate to prepare nice packages, all needed extensions and parameters and libraries. And also good practice is to collaborate with designers to create a good location for all the libraries so they can easily access it without restrictions. They can do needed modifications. In some cases, restrictions are good, because if a company created the standards, and standards should not be modified or changed by any of users, so it should be restricted. Only the managers and specific people should be able to modify or change these templates or standards. So in this case, yeah, restriction is good. In other case, these folders should be without restrictions, and people should be able to update, upload new content, modify, and all the libraries should be as live object, so you can always use it and modify it. Program downloaded small file, which will begin downloading full package, and it will create installation image on your machine. So let's open the file, and Autodesk create installer, and it prepares installation package. So after installation package is prepared, you will see this window ready to install. Close all Autodesk products before starting the installation. So this part is important. So you need to close all old versions of Revit, AutoCAD, and other Autodesk related products, because it installs a lot of extensions, links to other Autodesk products. So click install. And everything was prepared during custom installation setup. So you can relax, take a break, and the installation process will run automatically. Installation was finished, and I get this notification. Program asks me to restart my machine before I can continue. I will do it, but first I need to close all the windows and applications. Initial configuration. After restart, let's start Revit 2026. After I started Revit, I will get this new profile update reminder. So this is one of new features of Revit 2026. Here you can see in Autodesk Revit Help 2026 user profile update reminder. A profile dialog displays the first time you open Revit after it has been installed. It shows questions about the discipline and job role for which you use Revit. If you choose to skip this update, the dialog repeats after 60 days. This reminder will be displayed no more than twice a year. For additional information, see Autodesk account profile in Revit. We can say Autodesk wants to know what kind of industry you are working on and what is your role. So it wants to collect some additional details and data about your usage of applications. And based on your profiles, I think we will do some recommendations and improvements in the program. In earlier versions, such questions was not provided. You were able to modify these settings in your Autodesk account profile. Now we can see it's integrated directly in Revit. For additional information, let's click here, and in here I don't see information and additional details why this information is collected. If Autodesk implements this directly in your modeling design software, so it means it's important information for their development. So in here I cannot click save, so it means I need to do some modifications. Let's add additional industry architecture. Let's click save job role. Let's leave like this one. Thank you. You can view and edit your information at any time on your profile. Yeah, I know it. For newcomers, please fill in this data. For students, you should select student and the discipline you are studying in. Let's click continue. Before starting my first project, I need to open File, Options, and make some additional modifications, changes, and checking out if all configurations are according to my needs. So first step, what I need to do, I need to connect to my Autodesk account. So you should use sign in, and you should sign in to your student's account. Autodesk can provide you your license. After you sign in, your name should change based on your profile name. And how to activate File and Options, you should click on this home screen button. It will go to main Revit interface, and you click File and you click Options. So now we need to go through all these basic options. For notifications, I leave as default. You can change some additional information here. For me, it's okay, 30 minutes, but you can make it smaller and you will get more notifications during your work process, because regular saving is important. Revit can crash and you will lose your work. So regular saving is important part. And also if you work on collaboration projects, which sends information to central model, so also it's important. If your program crash, you lose your work, you will need to redo everything, and also your colleagues will not be able to use latest information. So this part, notification part, create useful habit and save regularly your progress. Username, as I mentioned, you connect to your profile. All Autodesk products are related to your email address and are based on your account. So if you want to use any of Autodesk products, you need to sign in to Autodesk. Journals, file, cleanup. So journal files can become quite huge depending on your projects. So regular cleanup gives additional option to clean and save space on your computer. In the journal files, you will find all the bugs, errors, and things what's not working on your projects. Also from the journal files, you can restore a lot of information. So these files are important for support if you have some issues and problems. So I recommend to leave parameters as it's recommended by default. This one, Worksharing update frequency, also let's leave it as it's recommended. View options. Depending on your discipline, I recommend to select view options. It will automatically try to arrange default views on your program. If you are architect, so architect ribbon will be activated as a first option. If you're structural engineer, so structure, tools and functions. If you're MEP engineer, so based on selected discipline, program will know which tools and functions is most suitable for you. Me as a teacher, I like to use coordination because I check student works and coordinate them. So on my side, I select coordination view. Next, user interface. So here you can activate and deactivate ribbon menus, what you can see on the ribbon. I recommend to turn off all tools which you don't use or don't work with. So if you are an architect, so I recommend to leave architecture tools, and as additional tools, massing and site tab and tools, energy analysis tools, and road analysis tools for evacuation and so on. System tab, electrical, mechanical, and piping tools are not needed, and structural tools also is not needed. If you are structural engineer student, civil engineer student, so you should leave only structure tabs. Sometimes you need to modify and manage ground and top surface, so you should use also massing and site tools. And if you are working with bridges and infrastructure objects, so I recommend to activate infrastructure tools. If you do steel detailing, so turn on steel tab. If not, so deactivate it. And if you do some analysis, analytical modeling, so also activate this option. If you're just doing simple design, so you can deactivate this one. And if you don't do steel, or most of your designs are from concrete, so you can also deactivate this tool. If you are mechanical engineer, MEP engineer, so use mechanical tools. If you are electrical engineer, use electrical tools. If you are piping engineer, so please use piping tools. Sometimes mechanical and electrical or piping engineers needs to create additional components, walls, and maybe some additional elements, so you can activate architecture tools also. As a teacher, I will activate all tools. Next one, keyboards and shortcuts. This part is very important. If you want to increase your performance and be efficient with application, you should implement keyboard shortcuts in your daily workflow. You should identify and analyze which tools you use most often, and for these tools you should set up keyboard shortcuts. By default, program is suggesting keyboard shortcuts based on English words. So here we see repeat last command, RC, and this keyboard shortcut will be activated. Each keyboard shortcut can be modified, or new keyboard shortcut can be assigned, and you can filter out all the keyboard shortcuts which are defined. Highly recommend to learn keyboard shortcuts and first start with the tools you use the most on the modeling program. Also, I recommend to merge or map the same keyboard shortcuts which you use on AutoCAD application. So on both programs, you have the same keyboard shortcuts. Let's see for dimensions. If I type here, align dimensions, DI, so use the same keyboard shortcuts for align dimensions in AutoCAD also. And this also will improve your work performance. In Revit, keyboard shortcuts can be imported and exported. From here, you can see you can easily manage it comparing to AutoCAD. This program has very user-friendly keyboard shortcut manager. After you create your keyboard shortcuts, I recommend to export it and save it for later use. And after you update the program, you go to another computer in the class, in the library, bring your keyboard shortcuts and write these keyboard shortcuts to all Revit places you work, and it will give you very big advantage. Double clicking options, I leave it as default, but you can change depending on your needs. And so for beginners, I don't recommend to do a lot of modifications and changes. So try to implement as most default settings as possible, because if you change your workplace and you come to some companies or you go to different workplace, so most Revit versions are installed by default, and it will be hard to adapt to default settings if you created a habit and skill to use modified ones. So for beginners, begin with default. For more advanced users which know what they do, so modify everything and adapt it to your specific needs. Tooltip Assistance. If you are a beginner, so I recommend Tooltip Assistance to put high. In this case, a lot of pop-up windows will give you recommendations and explain how the tools work. And if you are expert and you know all the functions, or you just use a couple of tools and you don't need all these tooltips and other things, so you can turn it off because you know all the functions. Me as teacher like to use normal because I always like to remind myself basics, and this assistance help me on my daily work. For beginners, recommend high. For normal users, normal. And for these who don't like any pop-up windows, use none, and it will improve your work also. Enable recent file list at home. I like this option. I like to open quickly my last projects, so I leave it. If you don't want to share the data, what files you opened, so you can deactivate this window here. Ribbon tab switching. After clearing a selection or after exiting project environment, return to the Preview tab. Stay in the Modify tab. Family editor. Stay on the Modify tab or return to the Previews tab. So I leave it as default. If you need, you can change, try one option, another option, and so on. Display the Context tab on selection. I also use default setting. If you don't like Context tab on selection, so you can deactivate this one. View switching. Control-Shift-Tab, tab positions order and history order. So it helps to switch between open tabs, so and between ribbon tabs. So you can use this shortcut command to do this. If you need additional tips and recommendations, I always recommend to follow instructions on Autodesk help page, and on help page provides a lot of useful details. If I click here, you can see option dialog user interface tab, and here you can read information about all these tabs and tools. And from here you can select different language, or you can implement translation tool, and it will automatically translate all the details to the language which is not directly implemented in help. After we finish user interface, we go to colors. In the color section, you should select user interface. So dark mode helps to release eye strain because colors are contrasting, white and black, and you don't need to put more tension on your eye muscles, and you can easily see all the tools and functions. Same, it's recommended to use on canvas. So if you use AutoCAD in dark mode and AutoCAD Canvas is also in the dark mode, I recommend to use both programs in the same dark mode. Me personally started working with early versions of Revit, so we're not able to show dark mode, and I adapted habit to use light mode of Revit, so I prefer light mode. For new users and beginners who started with AutoCAD and continuous design in Revit, I recommend to follow the same color palettes on both programs, on AutoCAD and Revit. Of course, the layout and the sheet pages on both programs should be white, because in most cases on white paper. Other colors I don't recommend to modify or change, because they are adapted to specific user interface, to specific theme. Of course, there are a lot of users who like to modify these colors, but later, as I mentioned, if you begin to modify and you need to switch different machines or computers, it will be difficult to work. So default settings, it's good for beginners. Graphics. So in here, you can select some graphic settings, view navigation performance, allow navigation during redraw, simplify display during view navigation. So these can improve your work performance. So in graphics, a new function was presented, accelerated graphics. So this one is also core feature of new Revit 2026. Accelerated graphics experience a significant navigation performance improvement in 3D and 2D views, helping you review your design faster. Use this tech preview to get early access to Revit's new graphical platform, delivering faster navigation and optimized hardware utilization. The current focus on graphic card accelerated graphics is enabled on the preview basis without creating any changes to the model or the view. When the view or model is closed, the accelerated graphics mode is disabled for the view. So based on these descriptions, it should improve view performance. So additional check should be done if your graphical card is not so powerful. A lot of students have computers which have integrated graphical card, and they don't have dedicated high-end graphical card for heavy graphical tasks. So in such case, you should try to activate or deactivate these functions so you can decent performance with your projects. Let's compare this graphics part with Revit 2025. So in Revit 2026, we see a new part is created here, and you can select this option. By default, it's enabled and show on screen toolbar and toggle with right-click menu. So it means for some views, you will be able to turn this option on/off. So let's leave all these settings by default. Next one is hardware. In here, you can see basic requirements for graphical card. So you should have DirectX 11 supported, shader model 5 supported, and GPU memory 4 gigabytes. So it means these are minimum or recommended basic entry-level settings for your graphical card. And also you can see what kind of graphical card the program is using. If you work on laptop and you have two graphical cards, one is integrated and one is dedicated, so you should try to modify Radeon or NVIDIA graphical cards so they work directly with Revit. If you see here Intel or integrated graphical card name, so you need to do additional modifications on your Windows, and this part is important if you want to have smooth model design. Additional options use hardware acceleration options. So also if your machine is not powerful, so you should disable these features based on your machine. So please, during work process, try these different options and check which one is most suitable for you. Next one, file locations. So this part is important because it links your program to main files, templates, family file locations on your device, and this helps to reach out all the data you need for your modeling. In customization installation step, I made modification, so my content goes directly to C drive and Revit Content. So from here you can see everything is set nicely and correctly, and I have all my project templates prepared here, and I can see all the list of needed file templates. So from here you should also arrange all these template files based on your discipline. If you are architect, you should move it to the top. If you are structural engineer who is designing construction models, so for construction sites, so you should move this one to the top. If you are just structural engineer who creates structure model and also makes some analysis of this model, so you should move structure template to the top. Sometimes it's good just to delete templates which you don't need. Program will be less crowded with data. It will save time and increase your performance. For arranging templates, use this blue button, select one of options and move down, move up. If you don't need one of templates, you can click minus or you can click plus and add additional ones. In Windows, I go to C drive, Revit Content, and here I have list of typical folders and typical folder structure, how Autodesk organize Revit content. So for these folders and this one, I didn't do any modifications. I leave it as default because this default structure you will see in all the installations. I provide better access for me, so I can directly access the content and can modify it and arrange. So I chose C drive. You can choose D drive or other drives if you have more drives on your machine. And for IT managers, so this data and these folders should be accessible for the students. Also, I recommend to limit modifications of these files for the students because a lot of different student groups will work and use the same content, and if they will be able to change or modify files, it can be a big mess. So IT department should activate read-only mode and limit modification mode. Only for teachers who had proper training should be provided rights to modify Revit content and add university templates, university-related families, so students can use specific regional or university-designed families and templates. Default path for user files. So I recommend to choose dedicated folder for user files. If you leave documents, it will be a big mess because in the document folder, Windows creates a lot of additional folders for different programs, applications, and it will be very confusing to find all the needed data and details in your documents. So I recommend to create folder 0 minus projects. So 0 will bring this folder to the top of folder list. Minus separates two different data containers. 0 is number and project is text description of the folder and how it looks on your Windows. So if you install a lot of applications, you will have a lot of folders here. So it's better to have dedicated folders list for projects, for civil 3D projects, for inventors, for point cloud, for the site, and all these folders with 0 goes up in the folder list and I can easy access and I don't need to scroll down to other folders. So it saves time and increase your work performance. Next one, default path for file template files. So default path family templates. I should click browse and check if English is selected. Yeah, English and not Imperial. I need English metric system, so it seems has correct folder dedicated for this one. Root path for point clouds. So here we have root path for point clouds. So as I mentioned, change this to this structure, 0 minus point clouds. It also will bring folder in the top list of your folders when you sort them by the name. So this folder is dedicated for the point cloud data which you use on your projects. If you put point clouds here. The program will try to read missing point cloud data from this folder. Next one, system analysis workflow. So here you can pinpoint specific locations for energy simulations and HVAC system loads and sizing. So by default, these settings are not in content catalogs. So these settings are provided in program files, Open Studio, and additional workflows, energy simulation, and load and sizing. I recommend to leave it as it is. Also, you can change order here by choosing different ordering, and also add or minus these locations. So based on your needs, you can check it out. If you make additional modifications, I recommend to bring these modified components directly to Revit Content. In the Revit Content, I recommend to create folder structure and place these files in this location. But if you add some extra ones, so try to link to your Revit Content folder, and it will be easier for you to manage all file locations. Next important part is places. So places provide detail about libraries which are installed in your machine. So metric library is okay, English UK, and as I mentioned, area book, building book, and room book, by default these are in Imperial. So for Europe it's not so user-friendly to use them because these are according to USA standards based on Imperial settings. So if you want to use these library components specifically for these tools, extensions which we chose during our custom installation setup, it can give you additional problems. So my solution would be to modify and create modified versions for metric system, create new locations and new folders, and also modify these extension tools to read the data from modified locations. And basic library location is okay, UK. And if you need additional libraries, let's say I added branch library, so I can copy paste the same address here. I can click three dots and I can go up, and here I have USA and Euro, so I can put Euro library also, and I can put Euro, UK, and additional one, US. And I move it up, and maybe one more. So if I go up, here I see English Imperial. So I would recommend to delete them, but these Imperial are used for this specific book area and room book. So let's leave it. And additional ones, I have French International, and German. So I also can So as you see, these libraries was not added automatically because specific Revit.ini file was not set up, and you need to do it manually. Also, if you will install other libraries, you need to check this place setup tool and check if all libraries you need for your work are correctly integrated in Revit application. Okay, now by priority I have metric UK library, Europe library, metric USA metric library, French library, French International library, German library, and specific libraries for area book and building book and room. Of course, you can choose specific folders if you always work with structure columns and you need to use structure column folder often, so you can add additional location and pinpoint specific category. It will be in your places list and you can reach needed libraries quickly on your machine. If you are IT admin for school, university, or the company, so you should set up Revit.ini file, add here all the company dedicated library locations, so employees can use specific families, libraries, and templates for the projects. If these settings are not set, so it means users will use generic default Autodesk objects, and these objects are not prepared for specific market, specific project use, because they are generic. We need to have more details, more level of information, more parameters and other things to be useful on specific projects. So setting up this can increase the performance and save a lot of work hours. Next one, rendering. So by default, no rendering path is provided. If you use a lot of renderings and prepare visualizations on the models, and you use specific external texture files, so I recommend to create specific folder and put all these texture files in this folder and add this folder here. So the program, if it needs to find a texture file, it can read this folder and find it here. Also, I recommend to create a network folder for this use, because if the team is working on the same project from different machines, so you need to have dedicated location on your server or on your cloud drive, and all the users should be able to reach the same texture files. In other case, custom texture files will be not loaded and users will get some issues with visualization of model elements. If you are a student, so you can create this folder on your personal machine. You can use maybe some specific cloud-based solution as OneDrive or Google Drive to store your texture files. By doing it, you can reach out these texture files from different machines. Also, maybe you can use external USB key to put texture files, and if you go from library to the class computers, you can stick your USB key and your project will be visually represented correctly with all the textures and all the information. Check spelling option. So in my project, in my setup, I will use English British. For Europe English, additional settings can be chosen here. So word with numbers, ISO 9000, ignore words in uppercase on DVG. So you can select some additional settings. I use all these settings by default. Also, here is additional option to check spelling. So if you use different language, not English, on your project, remove this one because it will always show you mistake. And available dictionaries are English, American, English, British, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. So if you need additional dictionaries, it is complicated. It would be nice if you can modify all these dictionaries, as you can do it on Word application, and you can create your specific dictionary files and put them in Revit Content folder and manage. Because in engineering projects you get a lot of complicated terms, and these terms should be implemented in your dictionary. To manage this, it would be nice to have additional possibilities and functions to do it. Next option, steering wheel. Me personally choose default options. You can always try and look how these settings change more performance. If you are a beginner, you can try it, and so you can understand how it modifies text or other components on your screen. If you don't want to make any mess, leave it as default, and always you can restore default values. Revit has this option, so if you make some wrong decisions or choose wrong settings, you can restore to default settings. So be brave and try some additional modifications. Next option is View Cube. So View Cube is a 3D cube which helps to navigate in 3D view. Also, me personally leave all things as default and it works quite nice, but you can also try to change, play a little bit and choose settings which is best for you. Another option, macros. Macros by default is disabled. If you implement macro commands for some specific tasks, you should use enabling option here, and macros can improve your work performance, can solve some problems. So it's powerful option and powerful tool, but I recommend to use it for experienced users. If you are a beginner, you can get macros with some viruses or some problematic macros, and they can damage your software or program. So please use this with caution and check all the details and explanations in the help. This new option was presented on Revit 2025 Cloud Model option. So this option helps to organize on which location program is storing cloud models. Cloud models can increase in size and can be a big problem when you work on a couple of projects and your C drive reach out the limits of the space. So here you can choose different location for these cache files, and you can choose I think server or different larger drive. So the program saves all the local temporary files on this location. Okay, so all these basic options are set, and you can click OK, and you can begin to do modeling process. So installation of the program is finished, preparation of the program is done. So now you can start modeling. So let's wrap up. And that's it. Revit 2026 is installed and customized for my needs. In this video, I showed how I access and install the education version, how I use the custom install process, and how I configure Revit to match my setup. If this was helpful, hit like and subscribe to BIM80 for more tutorials. So see you soon in other my tutorials.